Yo, what's up? It's me, Dulex, and today I made a composting toilet. Let me show you how and why. This video is sponsored by NordVPN. The last time I filmed a video, a lot of people were confused about what was going on with the toilet that I put in my bathroom rebuild. So, long story short, I didn't want to use the original toilet that was in the RV because that has a black tank, which means that all of my liquids and solids are going to be going in there and creating sewage. And I just didn't want to have to deal with that. I also didn't want to have to move my RV just to bring it to a dump station because I'll be primarily just parked. So I decided to build a composting toilet instead. So the way that composting toilets work is they separate your liquids from your solids so that they don't combine. Now, the way that most traditional composting toilets are set up is they have a portion on the front of the toilet that accepts the liquids and a portion on the back of the toilet that accepts the solids. But I didn't really like that design because I didn't know how difficult it would be for females to be able to make sure that they get all of their liquids in there without contaminating the solids. So I came up with the idea to have a sliding mechanism on the bottom that allows you to switch between the solids and the liquids. So I would just basically have two buckets under there that move back and forth. But the problem with that was, since I had to make that mechanism, it made the toilet way taller than it was supposed to be, so you needed like a stepping stool just to sit there and sit at regular height. And it also ended up being extra wide because I needed it to be the width of both of those buckets sliding back and forth. So that version of the toilet worked out pretty well. But the problem with that is every now and then you come into the scenario where you need to do number one and number two at the same exact time. So whenever that happens, you don't want to have to be switching between the two, worrying about contaminating one of the two buckets. So it's at that point that I decided it was time for me to try to build my version of the traditional composting toilet. So what I had to do first was take apart the original composting toilet that I made and reuse those pieces so that I could make the new one. So once I got it into my workshop, I decided to just basically make a base for the composting toilet and then add the regular components that I needed for the top. So instead of just making a boring box, I just wanted to do something cool, try something out that was new. So I tried this woodworking technique where you can bend the plywood, and basically all you do is you just use your table saw or a circular saw and you cut through the wood, but just don't make sure that the blade doesn't go all the way through. And then it'll basically just make a slit in it. So if you make a series of slits about 1/4 inch apart, it'll allow you to bend it and it'll still be solid. So that's what I ended up doing, and I made the base so that it would be smaller and fit into the RV nicely and also have a little bit of a wow factor to it. Man, I need to take a break, but while I do, it's a good time for me to talk about the sponsor of today's video, NordVPN. Now, a VPN is just an online service that you can use while you're browsing the internet to make sure that your information stays private. Right now, as you're watching this video, somebody can be hacking your computer, and they can be taking information like your credit card information, social security, and there's no way for you to get it back. Well, at that point, you should have got a VPN, dog. So NordVPN is something that I've been using for a couple months because you can use it for other stuff as well. Like, for example, Netflix or other streaming services like that, they have different shows that they make available for different countries. So me and my girlfriend are trying to watch The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. we both can watch that, even though it's only available in Portugal, because I'll use my VPN to tell my computer that I'm in Portugal, and that's one of the many benefits of having a VPN. So if you guys are interested in using a VPN, use code DUALX and check out the link in the top of my description for a discount. So I promise they'll keep you guys protected, save your wallet. Now let's get back to finishing this toilet. Thanks again to NordVPN for sponsoring this video. So once I finished assembling the top and putting the toilet seat on, all I had to do left was attach the urine diverter. If you don't know, urine diverters are super expensive. You can really only find them on eBay, and they're like between $50 and $400, which is extremely expensive for essentially a piece of plastic. So instead of me buying that and putting it in here, I decided to make my own with some acrylic that I already had laying around. So what I did with the acrylic was I just heated it up using a propane heater, and then once I got it soft enough and malleable, all I had to do was put it onto a pipe and then put force on it so it would form into the shape that I wanted it to. Then I just drilled that onto the underside of the toilet. Now that method worked well, and I used that and tested it out, and it worked fine, but I just wasn't super confident on it for female use. So what I ended up using in the final build was one of these, and these are urine collection systems that are used in hospitals when people need to use urine samples. But oddly enough, this is literally the exact size and shape that you need for a urine diverter. All you have to do is just drill a hole through the bottom. Once I finished attaching the urine diverter, all I had to do was take the whole composting toilet and bring it back into the RV and install it in the bathroom. Now once I was in there, all I had to do was put in the waste basket for the number 2s and a bucket for the number 1s. Now number 1s are super easy. All you have to do is just dump out that bucket whenever it fills up, because it's basically just water. But number 2s, everybody knows, obviously that stinks, so you don't want that smelling in the RV. So you need to put a medium in there so that it will break it down and prevent it from smelling. So I tried a bunch of different things, but what worked the best for me was coco coir. So coco coir is basically just the skin off the coconuts, and you can buy it in bricks from online or at a garden store. And then once you get it, all you do is you break it down so that it's you have small chunks of it. Then you add some water to it and just use your hand to mush it up a little bit until it has like a moist consistency, almost like mulch. Once you have that set up, all you got to do is line the bottom of your waste basket with a bag and then put the coco coir in there. Then when you do your number 2s, all you do is, instead of flushing the toilet like you normally would, you just grab a handful of the coco coir and then drop it in the number 2 bin. And from my experience, as soon as you drop that handful of the coco coir in there, the smell is completely gone. I've had friends come in here during these last 2 weeks and nobody ever mentioned any smell that they've smelled in the bathroom at all, because the smell just completely goes away. So I always recommend coco coir for that entire situation. You know you built a good toilet when you can just sit on it all day and ponder life. But anyway, this is how the toilet came out. When it's closed, this is what it looks like. When it's open, you can see how the urine diverter comes out. It just splits right down the middle. Like I said, there's a bunch of different ways to get that done. But if you lift up the entire top, you can actually see how the urine diverter comes down and it reaches where the urine tank is, and then the back is open for the number 2s. And then right over here on the side is where I'm keeping the coco coir, where you can just reach in there, grab your handful of this, and toss it in. But anyway, that's the build. Now you guys know how I made my composting toilet, why I made it, and why I built it twice. So, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Catch you in the next one, but I really actually got to use the bathroom now, so you guys are going to have to go.